someone like yourself who's invested a whole lot, human capital resources in building the PDP, and finally we're seeing you, should we now say you have moved? Because I want to use the word, because now that letter hasn't been read, how do we describe you? Are you now a member of the APC?
I'm a member of the APC, and I should have been, actually when I leave this program, I'm off to the state to register. So, okay, because registration process
okay, registration is on.
Yeah.
You've been speaking lately vehemently on the budget, and a whole lot you have said about the budget that has drawn a lot of people to go back into that books. And, first they'll start with a name, and this particular budget is a budget for job creation and growth, which represents 100 billion naira reduction from last year's budget. Mm-hmm. And let's start by asking an overview of what you think about the 2014 budget before we start looking at some of the details in it. What do you think about this budget?
I think, you see, before we talk about 2000, this was the issue I was raising on the floor, which you talk, before we talk about 2014 budget, because the budget is an estimate, and you must base the estimate on largely what has happened in 2013. As we speak now, I can't tell you, and I don't think that most people can tell you in real figures what our production level, because as an economy that is largely driven by oil, I mean, so we must go back to that. The revenues are largely coming from the oil sector. To say, how did we perform in the area of oil production on the revenue side, right? How did we perform on the issue of capital expenditure side? The best of my knowledge is that as of the end of the year, we had releases probably about 900 billion against a budget of 1.4 trillion. There's a shortfall there. Why is that? Then we begin to now ask, what are the issues we need to address? Why I'm saying that is that if you look at 2013 budget, the reason why we totally got it wrong was because some people sat down and made an estimate, which some of us objected at that time, that we were going to produce at 2.5 million barrels. Now, if we sat down and looked at production level at 2012, I'm sure we would have said 2.5 was unrealistic. Now, we've made a projection again of 2.3 for 2014. But we've not sat down to really sit down and say, what did we produce in 2013? Actual. Is it realistic? Is 2.3 realistic? If it's not realistic, then we're going to have, again, shortfall on revenues at the end of the day. So the point I was really making is that we get the budget in the National Assembly, and from the moment we get it, it's like a stopwatch that starts timing. Oh, this budget needs to be passed. This budget needs to be passed. And we spend a lot of time in that process. And at the end of the day, we come up with a document which from day one is not achievable.
Isn't that why the budget comes to the National